The story of humanity is, in many ways, a story of invention. From the very first moment, one of our distant ancestors shaped a piece of flint into a tool. We have been on an extraordinary journey of discovery and creation. It's a journey that has taken us from simple shelters to sprawling cities, from scratching marks on cave walls to sending messages across the globe in an instant. This relentless drive to understand, to innovate, and to master our environment is perhaps our most defining characteristic. It is what has allowed our species to thrive in every corner of this remarkable planet. We often look back at the great civilizations of the past, the Egyptians, the Romans, the Mayans, and marvel at their monumental achievements, the pyramids, the aqueducts, the intricate calendars. We study their methods, decipher their writings, and piece together the puzzle of how they accomplish such feats. And for the most part, we have found logical human explanations for their brilliance. Yet, there remains a collection of artifacts and technologies that defy our modern understanding, their secrets lost to the sands of time. It can be tempting, when faced with such profound mysteries, to look for answers beyond our world, to imagine that otherworldly visitors must have lent a hand. But perhaps, instead of looking to the stars, we should look again at the earth beneath our feet and the incredible minds of our own ancestors. Their ingenuity may have far surpassed what we give them credit for. We may simply have forgotten what we were once capable of. Here are the oldest technologies that scientists can't explain. In the hands of a warrior, a sword was more than just a weapon. It was an extension of their will, a symbol of their status, and the key to their survival. And for centuries, no sword was more coveted, more legendary, than those forged from Damascus steel. Originating in the Near East around the 3rd century, these blades were renowned not only for their staggering beauty, a distinctive swirling, watery pattern known as damask, but for their almost supernatural properties. They were said to be so sharp they could slice through a falling piece of silk, yet so strong and flexible they could bend at a 90-degree angle without breaking. The stories surrounding these blades are the stuff of legend. Crusaders returning from the Holy Land would speak in awe of the weapons wielded by their enemies, blades that could cleave through European iron swords and even shatter them upon impact. The very sight of the distinctive pattern was enough to instill fear. The steel's strength came from a unique internal structure, an intricate matrix of hard cementite particles embedded within a softer, more ductile iron. This was a form of nanotechnology, achieved centuries before the term was ever coined. It was a perfect marriage of hardness and flexibility, a metallurgical masterpiece. The secret to its creation lay in a specific type of raw material known as wootz steel, which was imported from India. This wootz steel contained specific impurities, trace amounts of elements like vanadium and molybdenum, which were crucial for forming the nanoscale structures during the forging process. The smiths of Damascus developed a highly specialized and fiercely guarded set of techniques, a precise cycle of heating, hammering, and cooling that manipulated these impurities to create the legendary properties of the final blade. It was a recipe passed down from master to apprentice, a secret held within a small community of artisans. But then, the secret was lost. Around the 18th century, the supply of the specific Indian wootz steel began to dwindle, and the trade routes that had sustained the industry for over a millennium were disrupted. Without the correct raw ingredients and the precise, unwritten knowledge of the forging process, the ability to create true Damascus steel vanished from the world. Modern metallurgists, with all their advanced equipment and understanding of materials science, have tried and failed to perfectly replicate it. We can create steels that are strong and steels that are beautiful, but the exact combination of aesthetic grace and unparalleled performance remains an elusive echo from the past. In the heart of Delhi, India, standing within the Qutb complex, is a monument that quietly defies one of the fundamental laws of nature. It is the Iron Pillar of Delhi. Standing over 7 meters tall and weighing more than 6 tons, this colossal structure has weathered the monsoons, the heat, and the pollution of the city for over 1,600 years. And yet, it shows almost no sign of rust. For any piece of iron, especially one of this age, and exposed to such a humid climate, this is simply astonishing. It stands as a silent testament to the extraordinary skill of the metallurgists who created it. Erected by the Gupta Emperor Chandragupta II, the pillar was originally located elsewhere and moved to its current position in the 13th century. An inscription on its surface honors the Hindu god Vishnu and commemorates the king's victories. But while its history is partially known, its composition is a profound mystery. Standard iron from that period, or even from today, would have long ago corroded into a crumbling mass of rust. The pillar, however, remains remarkably preserved, its surface smooth and its integrity intact. A puzzle that has baffled scientists for generations. Modern analysis has revealed some of its secrets. The pillar is composed of 98% pure wrought iron, which is in itself a remarkable feat of ancient forging. But the key to its longevity appears to lie in a thin protective layer of a compound called misaweat, a specific type of iron oxyhydroxide. This layer formed on the surface of the pillar within the first few years of its existence and has been shielding the iron underneath from the corrosive effects of the atmosphere ever since. It acts as a barrier, preventing the chemical reactions that lead to rust. The true enigma, however, is how this protective layer came to be. Was it a deliberate act of genius by its creators, or a happy accident? Some theories suggest that the ancient smiths used a process that left a high phosphorus content in the iron. This phosphorus, through a complex catalytic process, is believed to have promoted the formation of the misaweat layer. Other theories point to unique local weather conditions, or even specific ritualistic treatments applied to the pillar. Whatever the method, the result is an object that seems to exist outside of time, a metallurgical marvel that our ancestors created, but whose precise recipe we are still struggling to fully comprehend. Deep within the ruins of the Minoan palace of Phaistos, on the sun-drenched island of Crete, a discovery was made in 1908 that has puzzled archaeologists and linguists ever since. It is a small, unassuming object of fired clay, no larger than a dinner plate. But inscribed upon its surface, spiraling towards the center, is a message from a lost world. This is the Phaistos disc. Dated to the middle of the Minoan Bronze Age, around the 17th century BC, it is covered with 241 stamped impressions, making up 45 unique symbols. These symbols are unlike anything else found in the ancient world. They depict recognizable figures: a running man, a plumed helmet, a ship, a bird, but also abstract designs whose meanings are completely unknown. What makes the disc so extraordinary is that these symbols were not individually carved into the clay. Instead, they were pressed into it using pre-made stamps or punches. This makes the Phaistos disc, in essence, the earliest known example of movable type printing, predating Gutenberg's printing press by a staggering 3 millennia. It is a technological leap that seems to appear out of nowhere. The purpose of the disc and the meaning of its spiraling text remains one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. Is it a hymn? A prayer to a Minoan deity? Could it be a list of soldiers, a legal document, or perhaps even a board game? The language it represents is completely unknown, a script that has been given the name Minoan Linear A, which itself remains undeciphered. Without a Rosetta Stone, a parallel text in a known language to provide a key, the message on the disc remains locked away, a silent monologue from 4,000 years ago. The very existence of the disc raises more questions than it answers. Why would someone go to the trouble of creating a sophisticated set of 45 individual stamps for what appears to be a single unique document? No other object like it has ever been found. Was it a failed experiment in communication? A prototype for a technology that never took hold? Or are there thousands more clay documents like it, still buried, waiting to be discovered? For now, the Phaistos disc sits in its museum case, an isolated masterpiece of ancient ingenuity, its symbols staring out at us, challenging us to unlock the secrets of the brilliant and mysterious Minoan civilization. The Byzantine Empire, the inheritor of Rome's eastern territories, survived for over 1,000 years, weathering countless sieges and naval battles. One of its greatest assets, a weapon so terrifying and effective that it became legendary, was a closely guarded state secret. It was known as sea fire, or more famously, Greek fire. This was no ordinary incendiary. It was a liquid chemical weapon that could be projected from siphons mounted on the bows of their warships, engulfing enemy vessels in a torrent of flame that could not be extinguished with water. In fact, water often seemed to make it burn even more intensely. Imagine the sheer terror of facing such a weapon. As an enemy fleet approached the mighty walls of Constantinople, the Byzantine dromons would unleash this jet of liquid flame. It would stick to the hulls and sails of ships, to the shields and bodies of sailors, burning with a ferocious heat and producing a thick, choking smoke. It could even continue to burn while floating on the surface of the sea, creating a hellish barrier that no ship could cross. This devastating power was instrumental in repelling numerous Arab sieges of Constantinople and securing Byzantine naval supremacy in the Mediterranean for centuries. The formula for Greek fire was one of the most protected secrets in history. Its knowledge was confined to a single family, the Kallinikos clan, who had reputedly invented it in the 7th century, and it was passed down through generations. The penalty for revealing the recipe was death. We know from historical accounts that it was a petroleum-based mixture, likely using crude oil or naphtha as a base. To this, other ingredients were added to give it its unique and terrifying properties. What were those ingredients? This is the mystery that endures. Historians and chemists have proposed various combinations: pine resin for adhesion, sulfur for its noxious fumes, quicklime, which reacts exothermically with water and could explain why it was so difficult to extinguish, and perhaps saltpeter to increase the intensity of the burn. But no one has been able to definitively recreate the exact formula that matches all the historical descriptions. The secret was so well kept that when the Byzantine Empire finally fell, the knowledge of its most powerful weapon died with it, leaving behind only tales of unquenchable fire on the water. In the year 1322 AD, during the Han Dynasty in China, a scholar and inventor of breathtaking genius named Zhang Heng presented a remarkable device to the imperial court. It was an ornate bronze vessel, nearly 2 meters in diameter, adorned with 8 dragon heads, each holding a small bronze ball in its mouth. Below each dragon sat a bronze toad with its mouth wide open, waiting. This was not merely a sculpture. It was the world's first seismograph, an instrument designed to detect earthquakes hundreds of kilometers away. And, according to historical records, it worked with astonishing accuracy. The true brilliance of the device was its ability to not only detect a distant tremor, but also indicate the direction of its epicenter. When an earthquake occurred, a mechanism inside the vessel would be triggered. This would cause one of the 8 dragons, the one pointing in the direction of the quake, to open its mouth and release its ball. The ball would then fall precisely into the mouth of the toad waiting below, creating a loud clang that would alert the court officials. This allowed the emperor to dispatch aid and resources to the affected region days before messengers could possibly arrive with the news. One famous account tells of a day when the device was triggered, dropping a ball from the dragon facing west. The court officials were skeptical, as no tremor had been felt in the capital city of Luoyang. A few days later, however, a messenger arrived from the west, reporting that a massive earthquake had devastated a region over 600 kilometers away, precisely in the direction the dragon had indicated. The device had proven its worth, a stunning fusion of art and science that was centuries ahead of its time. The tragedy is that while detailed descriptions of the seismograph's appearance and function survive, the exact nature of its internal mechanism was lost. How did it work? The prevailing theory is that a central pendulum, carefully balanced, would remain stationary during normal conditions. The inertia of this pendulum would cause it to swing relative to the vessel's casing during the initial shock wave of an earthquake, tripping a lever connected to the correct dragon head. Despite numerous attempts by modern engineers to reconstruct it based on this principle, no one has created a working model that matches the sensitivity and reliability described in the historical texts. The mind of Zhang Heng conceived a mechanism so subtle and precise that its secret remains a puzzle to this day. There exists a book, a medieval manuscript, that has resisted every attempt at comprehension. It is filled with elegant, flowing script and detailed illustrations, yet its language is unknown, its alphabet is unique, and its purpose is a complete mystery. This is the Voynich manuscript. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, it is a codex of about 240 vellum pages, and for over 100 years since its rediscovery in 1912, it has been a source of intense fascination and utter frustration for the world's best cryptographers, linguists, and historians. The manuscript is divided into several sections, identifiable by their illustrations. There is a botanical section, filled with drawings of fantastical plants that match no known species on Earth. Then comes an astronomical or astrological section, with intricate circular diagrams, suns, moons, and stars. This is followed by a biological section, featuring bizarre drawings of small, nude figures, mostly female, bathing in elaborate plumbing systems connected to strange, organ-like vessels. The purpose of these so-called balneological scenes is perhaps the most baffling aspect of the entire book. The text itself, nicknamed Voynich, is written in an alphabet of 20 to 30 unique characters. It flows smoothly, as if written by someone completely familiar with the language. Statistical analysis shows that it follows the patterns of a real language. It has word frequencies and structures that are not random gibberish. This suggests it is not a simple substitution cipher, but a genuine, albeit unknown language, or a highly sophisticated code. Yet, despite the efforts of top codebreakers from both world wars and the most powerful modern computers, not a single word has been verifiably deciphered. What could it be? Is it the lost work of an alchemist? A secret pharmacopoeia of forgotten remedies? Is it an elaborate hoax? A meaningless but beautifully crafted object designed to fool a wealthy collector? Or is it something else entirely? The notes of an outsider artist? The sacred text of a forgotten sect? Or even an attempt at creating an artificial, philosophical language? The Voynich manuscript remains the Everest of historical cryptography. It is a book that we can see and touch, but whose mind, whose meaning, remains completely and tantalizingly out of reach. A silent challenge from a distant, inscrutable past. Scattered across the former northern territories of the Roman Empire, from Wales to Hungary, archaeologists have unearthed a peculiar and recurring object. It is a small, hollow bronze or stone artifact with 12 flat pentagonal faces. Each face has a circular hole of a different diameter, and small knobs protrude from each vertex. Over 100 of these Roman dodecahedrons have been found, yet not a single contemporary written account mentions them. Their function is a complete and utter mystery. These objects date from the 2nd to the 4th centuries AD and are found primarily in the Gallo-Roman regions. what is now France, Germany, and Great Britain. Their craftsmanship varies, but they all share the same basic geometric form. The holes in the faces are often tapered and arranged in what seems to be a deliberate, though not immediately obvious, pattern. They are too light to be weapons like mace heads, and too complex for a simple game piece. Their very specific and standardized design implies they served a distinct and commonly understood purpose, a purpose that has been entirely forgotten. The theories about their function are as varied as they are imaginative. Could they have been a measuring device? Perhaps a surveyor's tool for judging distances or angles on a battlefield? Some have suggested they were knitting tools for making the fingers of gloves, with each hole corresponding to a different finger size. Others propose they were candlesticks, as wax residue has been found inside some examples. A more esoteric theory is that they were religious artifacts used in the rituals of Celtic or Roman mystery cults, perhaps as a type of scepter or divination tool. The most compelling and yet unprovable theory is that they were a form of astronomical gauge. By looking through opposing holes, one might be able to determine the optimal date for sowing winter grain, typically in late autumn. The different hole diameters could correspond to the changing angle of the sun at different times of the year. This would explain their prevalence in the northern agricultural provinces of the empire. But without a single user's manual or description left behind by the Romans themselves, the true purpose of the dodecahedron remains one of archaeology's most charming and persistent puzzles, a small, intricate object that represents a whole category of lost knowledge. From the legendary sharpness of a lost steel to a book written in an unbreakable code, these artifacts serve as powerful reminders. They show us that the path of technological progress is not always a straight, unbroken line. Knowledge can be gained, but it can also be lost. Skills perfected over centuries can vanish in a single generation, leaving behind only enigmatic creations that challenge our modern assumptions of superiority. These objects are not evidence of alien intervention. They are monuments to human ingenuity, whispers of forgotten techniques and lost ways of thinking. Each mystery we have explored is a testament to the depth and breadth of our ancestors' capabilities. They were not primitive people waiting for enlightenment. They were masters of their own sciences, innovators who pushed the boundaries of what was possible with the materials and knowledge they had. The iron pillar, the seismograph, the dodecahedron, they all speak to a level of specialized understanding that was both brilliant and, in some cases, tragically fragile. They force us to look at the past with a renewed sense of humility and wonder. And so, the quest continues. Scientists, historians, and archaeologists work tirelessly, using new technologies to probe these old mysteries, hoping to unlock the secrets held within metal, clay, and parchment. Perhaps one day we will rediscover the recipe for Greek fire or finally read the words of the Voynich manuscript. But even if these secrets remain forever lost, their existence enriches our own story. They are the echoes of forgotten genius, a quiet challenge from the past, reminding us that we are part of a long, extraordinary, and profoundly mysterious human journey.